Assalamu alaikum. My name is Tariq. I'm a Bangladeshi American living in the USA. I have a PhD in Islamic studies and two masters in Islamic studies as well. I taught in 3 Turkish universities, several courses, including a course in Introduction to Sufism. I've been in many different tariqas in the last 20, 30 years. And I learned great things from many of the sheikhs. Everybody had some very special things to teach, and I'm very grateful for that. For instance, from my last sheikh, my previous sheikh, I learned the difference between traditional world and the modern world, traditional science and the modern science. And what he taught us was that in traditional world, everything revolved around the sacred much more than it does now. And in fact, in the modern world, you see consideration of Allah or God is almost pushed out of every human endeavors. So that was a tremendous thing. Another very important thing I learned from the Sheikh was that we can bring back the sacred in our art, in our literature, in our architecture, and even within science. And the most important thing was that the environmental crisis he taught, which I completely still now believe, is environmental crisis that we face now has a lot to do with not seeing nature as signs of God. And he taught us that only when we learn to again see nature as signs of God, we'll be able to solve the problem. Now, all this was wonderful. And all my sheikhs actually taught that Sharia should be the basis of tariqah. Without Sharia, no tariqah. However, what is different is that with this tariqah, al-Karkari, the emphasis is mostly on purification of the nafs, purification of the self. No matter what else you achieve in the world, if the nafs is not pure, then it's very likely that your nafs will grow even stronger if you're not careful. And the Quran and Hadith emphasize the importance of purifying your heart. The Quran says directly that only a qalb salim will be is what God is looking for. So, and also if you're, as I'm growing older, I'm more concerned about death, and I think about death more. And I think if I want to achieve, that's the next goal I must have, more than anything else in the dunya, because at the end, nothing of this will last. The reason I was attracted to this tariqah so much was, first of all, I had been reading the Quran a lot until I heard about this tariqah, and this emphasis on purification of the self, not reading, writing books and articles and who said what, but what about me? Is my heart pure? Is my intention pure? Is my work pure? Is my conduct pure? That is the focus of this tariqah. And as I have observed Sheikh Faouzi al-Karkari and I read his books, translations of his talks, I found great clarity on many different issues on the spiritual path. Finally, I came to the Zawiya, and I found nothing but sincerity, nothing but clarity, nothing but tremendous passion for God in the Sheikh and those who are here, who come from all over the world. So I would say one of the things I noticed about the Sheikh was that he speaks without any break. I mean, he speaks without any sign that he's thinking of what he's going to say next. And this really impressed me. And everything he says is very profound and very forceful. And this really impressed me. That is as if as if it's connected to an ocean of knowledge, an inspiration. It just flows smoothly and powerfully and to the point. He doesn't waste words. And I feel that he knows me already, even though we haven't had many personal contacts. He seems to know me very well. So all these things really I found very persuasive, and I think in the modern world now, he's, for the Muslim world at least, he's a blessing. He's a blessing that those of us who are looking for a spiritual guide or a spiritual path should look into. And I think of every tariqah that I have seen so far, Tariq al-Karkari, in my understanding, represents the deepest presentation of the Islamic path, Islamic spirituality that I have seen. So I strongly recommend that those of you who are still seeking should find out more about Tariq al-Karkari and Shaykh Faouzi al-Karkari. There is one misunderstanding among some people when they hear about so much Quran recitations every day, so much zikr every day. They say that, oh, it is just a path of devotion. That is completely not true. It is a path of devotion, but it's also a path for intellectual clarity. And you know that if you hear him, if you read the texts that are translated, speeches that are translated, it goes very deep. And he constantly emphasizes that we don't really exist. Only God exists, and God is one. And God is eternal. He's one now, and he will always be one. He exists now as one, and he will always exist as one. And so this idea that this is only a path of devotion is completely not true. Anyway, I think that's what I have to say at this time. Thank you.